So today's topic is destiny, death and liberation. मतलब हमारी किस्मत में मोक्ष है? क्या लग रहा है हमें? हाँ, जिनने ब्लू स्कार्फ पहने उनको तो पक्का है कि है हमारी हमें विश्वास है कि ये हमारी किस्मत में है, इस जन्म में हम ये चीज़ें पा सकते हैं, है ना। तो आज जहाँ पे भी हैं, जैसे भी हैं इस ज़िंदगी, हम यहाँ पे आए कैसे, है ना। मोक्ष क्या है? मोक्ष है कि ज़िंदगी के जन्म मरण से बाहर निकलना और भगवान से एक हो जाना, है ना। ये तो हम सब समझते हैं, है ना। और हमें ये भी पता है कि बहुत अच्छा गोल है। और जैसे पहले शंकरा जी ने बोला, वो पहाड़ देखते हैं फिर हमें लगता है ये तो बहुत दूर है, ये हमसे कहाँ होगा, है ना। हम अच्छा जीवन ही जी लें, इतना बहुत है। तो ये बात नहीं है। पहले तो हमें ये समझना है कि हमारे पास फ्री विल कितना है और किस्मत कितनी है। कई बारी हम बोलते हैं ये तो हमारा भाग्य है, ये तो हमारी किस्मत है, अब तो कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता, ये तो ऐसे ही चलेगी इस लाइफ, है ना। तो हम थोड़ी हिम्मत हार के बैठ जाते हैं। या हमें लगता है कि नहीं, अगर भगवान है, हम हैं, वही शक्ति हम में है, हम बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं, है ना। किस्मत की क्या। तो ये बैलेंस कैसे बनता है? तो एक्चुअली योगानंदा जी ने एक बहुत अच्छा फॉर्मूला दिया है। उन्होंने 2-3 बहुत अच्छे स्पिरिचुअल फॉर्मूलाज दिए हैं जिससे हमें ये बातें अच्छी तरह समझ आती हैं। तो वो बोलते हैं कि 75% इज़ योर डेस्टिनी एंड 25% इज़ योर फ्री विल। तो अगर हम देखें, वो 25% जो हमारा फ्री विल कम नहीं है, और जो 75% भी हम लेके आए हैं, हमारी ज़िंदगी इतनी बुरी तो नहीं है, सिर्फ बुरा कर्म नहीं है उसमें। आज जो भी हमारी लाइफ में चल रहा है, कुछ अच्छा है, कुछ बुरा है, इट्स अ मिक्स ऑफ गुड एंड बैड। ठीक है, मे बी कोई बहुत बड़ी चैलेंजेस भी हों। तो अगर हम ये समझें कि ये 75% बना कैसे, 25 पे भी आएंगे, तो ये 75% कैसे बना, तो जो बताते हैं हमारे गुरु कि जब पहले भगवान ने सृष्टि साजी तो सब आते थे, मेडिटेट करते थे और चले जाते थे। तो आई थिंक भगवान को लगा कि ये तो थोड़ी बात नहीं बनी, मतलब इसमें तो आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं और ब्लिस में रह रहे हैं। तो फिर उन्होंने माया की स्टोरी रची। फिर एक इंटरेस्टिंग कैरेक्टर उन्होंने ही क्रिएट किया, माया उनसे अलग नहीं है, कि अब मेरे बच्चे क्या चुनेंगे, मेरा प्यार चुनेंगे कि माया के खिलौने चुनेंगे, है ना। और माया को उन्होंने इतना अट्रैक्टिव बना दिया, इतना उसको बना दिया। एक नवीन जी और मेरा बहुत फेवरेट, हम बहुत सत्संग में पहले कोट करते थे कबीर जी का भजन, लुधियाने वाले भी जानते होंगे। वो कबीर, वो कहते हैं, माया तो महा ठगनी हम जानी। उन्होंने उसकी ठगी पकड़ ली। तो माया ठगनी क्यों है? क्योंकि झूठे वादे करती है। झूठे वादे क्यों करती है? कि अगर आपको ये मिल जाएगा आप खुश होगे, आपको बड़ा घर मिल जाएगा आप खुश होगे, आपको ये हस्बैंड मिल जाएगा आप खुश होगे, ये पार्टनर। नहीं, आप खुश नहीं हो तो इस चीज़ों को बड़ा करो ना। आप एफर्ट नहीं कर रहे हो, आप ट्राई नहीं कर रहे हो, आप पूरा वो जान। तो माया उलझा के रखती है और फिर वो खुशी तो मिलती नहीं हमें। तो ये ठगी हुई ना। तो ये कबीर जी, और उन्होंने बहुत, उस भजन के कुछ वर्ड्स हैं, शिव के घर भवानी बैठी, तीरथ में भी पानी, पंडा के घर मूर्ति बनी बैठी, शिव के भवन भवानी। वो कहते राजा के घर रानी है तू और अंगूठी में हीरा है तू। तो माया आपको उस अपनी वीकनेस पे पकड़ती है। जो भी हमारी कमज़ोरी होगी ना, वो हमें वहाँ से आके पकड़ेगी। राजा की कमज़ोरी उसकी रानी है, राजा किसी की नहीं मानेगा, पर रानी आके उससे थोड़ा सा उसको छोड़ दो ना, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। तो राजा चलो तेरे को माफ़ कर दिया, है ना। तो वो उसके थ्रू आएगी। जिसकी जो बच्चे वीकनेस है, हो सकता है वो कहते नहीं, हमने तो बस जान डाल दी बच्चे पालने में, भगवान का सोचा ही नहीं। तो ठीक है, हमने अपने फ़र्ज़ भी निभाने हैं। तो माया हमें वहाँ से पकड़ेगी और हमें उलझा के रखेगी। वो माया का काम है, बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है, पर हमारे अंदर एक आवाज़ होती है जो सेटिस्फाइड नहीं है, जिसे खुशियाँ नहीं मिली हैं, और माया की ठगी भी नहीं पता लग रही है ना। तो वो आवाज़ भगवान की है, वो आवाज़ अंदर हमारी सोल की है। योगानंदा जी सेज द सोल लव्स टू meditate. In it lies its greatest joy. The greatest joy that we can experience is in meditation. But Maya's job is to make sure that we do not go in that direction. Right? So we have to honor that voice within all of you. Why are you all here today? Because there was some thought that maybe we will get something here today. आज हो सकता है हमें कुछ सवालों के जवाब मिलें, आज हो सकता हमें कुछ क्लैरिटी मिले, क्योंकि हमें विश्वास है कि ये पॉसिबल है। अगर आपको लगता है कि कुछ पॉसिबल ही नहीं, आप स्पिरिचुअल फेयर पे क्यों आते? इसमें थोड़ी उम्मीद लेके आए हो ना कि यहाँ पे हमें कुछ मिल सकता है। तो मैं एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग किताब मैंने बहुत साल पहले पढ़ी थी, इट्स नेम वाज कोड नेम गॉड, इट्स बाय अ साइंटिस्ट। और मैंने पीछे गूगल किया मैं कि इनका बना क्या, ही स्टिल अलाइव, इज 94 years old. So he was a very simple person. He lived in a Gandhian family. His father would meditate. Extremely intelligent. तो उनको आई थिंक वो IIT में एडमिशन मिल गई। IIT के बाद उनको अमेरिका में UCLA में स्कॉलरशिप मिल गई। और उसके बाद वो ये जो लेज़र सर्जरी है ना, आंखों की सर्जरी, जो टीम जिन्होंने बनाई थी उनके साइंटिस्ट थे। तो उसके साथ वो उनको इतना पैसा आया, इतनी शोहरत आई, इतनी फेम आई कि उनका नाम है मनु भौमिक। तो अगर पूछते थे ना मनु भौमिक कौन है, तो LA में एक एरिया है बेल एयर, कहते वो सबसे बड़ा घर है ना वो मनु भौमिक का है, वो वाला है मनु भौमिक। तो वो घर में भी वो कहते कि सारे हॉलीवुड सेलिब्रिटीज़ उनके घर आते थे, सारी पार्टीज़ उनके घर होती थी, एक्ट्रेसेस वुड कम। सो 10 साल उन्होंने वो ज़िंदगी जी है। तो अगर हम अपने इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव से देखेंगे, वो तो ड्रीम लाइफ हो गई ना, बच्चा बाहर भी चला गया, इंजीनियर भी बन गया, स्टार्टअप भी हो गया, मिलियंस में भी आ गया, LA में भी मैंशन हो गया। सो ही हैज़ गॉन द होल वे। पर 10 साल वो लाइफ जी उन्होंने। फिर एक दिन उनके घर में एक पार्टी थी और जब सारी कार्स चली गई, वो अपनी बालकनी में खड़े होकर देखते हैं कि बस यही था, दिस इट, ही इज़ रीच्ड द एंड ऑफ द स्टोरी एंड ही सेइंग, इज दैट ऑल? So then he started a scientific inquiry into trying to prove scientifically that God exists. So that is another topic altogether. So what I'm trying to say is that you can have the end of what material life will give you. And then he remembered that when I used to meditate with my father, there was this joy. And he then tried to reconnect to that joy and to again find that joy. That joy he didn't find in this extreme materialism. So this is how the world will keep us entangled. आज हम जहाँ पे भी है, जो भी खोज रहे हैं, हम खोज क्या रहे हैं, हमें क्या खुशियाँ मिली नहीं मिली, कहाँ पे उलझे हुए हैं। तो ये जो 75% हमारा कर्म हम लेके आए हैं, वो उस गुड और बैड एक्शंस का रिज़ल्ट है जो हमने जाने अनजाने में किए हैं। हमने तो सोचा, हमने बिलीव किया, सोसाइटी ने बोला आप ये कर लो, सारा कुछ कर लिया, पर वहाँ पे तो हम पहुँचे नहीं, क्योंकि हमें समझ ही नहीं थी, है ना। तो अगर हम आए 25%, ये तो 75% की स्टोरी होगी कि माया ने हमें उलझा के रखा है, माया ने अपने चक्रों में डाल के रखा है, माया ने हमें झूठे वादे किए, माया ने वो खुशियाँ ही नहीं दी जी जो हमें बोला था माया ने कि नहीं करोगे तो आपको खुशी मिलेगी, है ना। हमारे नॉर्थ इंडिया में बहुत ट्रेंड है, बेटा होगा तो बहुत खुशी मिलेगी, ये होगा तो बहुत अच्छा होगा, ये होगा तो कर लो करके देख लो। कहाँ है वो खुशियाँ, है ना। तो वो स्टोरी तो हमारी पीछे की है। अब ये जो 25% हमें मिला है in this lifetime, how can we maximize that 25% with our free will? That is the story. And how now the second part is liberation. मोक्ष चाहिए ना हमें। तो मोक्ष, हमारी ट्रेन एक ट्रैक पे चल रही है हमारे कर्म अनुसार। ये स्टेशन तो हमें अच्छा नहीं लगा जहाँ पे हम पहुँचे हैं, हमने मोक्ष के स्टेशन में जाना है। ट्रेन का ट्रैक बदलना है ना, क्योंकि ये डेस्टिनेशन तो हमें पसंद नहीं आई, वी आर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, वी आर नॉट हैप्पी, माया इज सेइंग लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, नॉट fulfilling her promises. I want मोक्ष। नाउ टू चेंज द ट्रैक ऑफ आवर लाइफ बहुत एनर्जी की ज़रूरत है, कुछ करने की ज़रूरत है ना। ऐसे जैसे देवऋषि बोल रहे हैं, ऐसे रिलैक्स करके बोलेंगे भगवान मुझे मोक्ष दे दो, तो हमारी लैप में तो गिरेगा नहीं। तो वो हमने उस टाइम को, इस ज़िंदगी को, उस एनर्जी इन्वेस्ट करनी है जिससे हमारी लाइफ का ट्रैक मोक्ष की तरफ चले। तो मोक्ष की तरफ कैसे चलेगा? ये मानने की बात है कि अच्छे कर्म भी बाइंडिंग होते हैं। हमें लगता है ना, कई लोग बोलते हैं नहीं हम तो बहुत अच्छी ज़िंदगी जी रहे हैं, किसी का कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ा मैंने, ईमानदारी से काम कर रहे हैं, बच्चे अच्छे पाले हैं, अच्छा घर बना दिया, लाइफ इज़ गुड, बट दैट गुड कर्मा इज़ ऑल्सो बाइंडिंग। So Yogananda ji says bad karma is an iron wire and good karma is a gold wire. बिकॉज अगर मैं अच्छा पेरेंट हूँ, नेक्स्ट लाइफ टाइम आई हैव टू बी अ गुड चाइल्ड एंड माई पेरेंट्स हैव टू बी, so I am still in that wheel of karma. Even if I am doing good deeds, it is not enough. So we have to rise above the law of karma. So how will we rise above the law of karma? First thing is, which is the lesson of the Gita, to see God as the doer. Karma क्यों create होता है? वो ego की story है. Ego wants credit, ego wants fame, ego wants to be thought of good, ego cannot stand if someone criticizes you. तो ईगो हमें उसमें उलझा के रखता है कि ये काम मैं तभी करूँगा, मुझे बहुत इसमें प्रेज़ मिलेगी, बहुत अच्छे होंगे, या मैंने अगर हम अच्छे काम भी ईगो से करें वो भी बाइंडिंग है. अगर हम सोशल सर्विस भी, चैरिटी भी करें, पर आई वांट माय नेम, कई बार हम जाते हैं ना, इतने पैसे उसने दान किए, हम मार्बल में लगा के उधर टेम्पल में कहीं पे प्लाक, सबको पता होना चाहिए, तो ये तो फिर दान नहीं हुआ ना, हमें तो क्रेडिट चाहिए, ये कैसा दान हुआ? So their ego, it again has got into the story. So what is nishkam karma? When we see God as the doer in everything. You know, I'll tell another story. You all should be proud because this person is from Chandigarh, whose story I'm going to tell you. He's called Langar Wale Baba. I don't know, किसी ने सुनी होगी कहानी, है ना? Yes, so जो PGI के बाहर अभी भी आप जाओगे, आपने देखा है कितना लंगर लगता है. तो ये एक, I think जगदीश लाल आहूजा was his name, है ना? तो उन्होंने शुरू किया था. क्यों शुरू किया था? वो पार्टीशन से आए, इंडिया, गरीब थे. वो कहते कई बारी मैं सिर्फ केले खाता था, मेरे पास कुछ नहीं था, और धीरे धीरे चंडीगढ़ नया शहर था, उन्होंने कुछ काम किया, थोड़ा सक्सेस मिला, फिर थोड़ी प्रॉपर्टीज़ भी बना ली, फिर अच्छे लेवल पे आ गए वो. तो एक दिन वो अपने बेटे का जन्मदिन था, तो वो हर टाइम पार्टी रखते थे, यू नो, देवर ड्रिंक्स एंड नॉन वेज. वो कहते ये कैसा जन्मदिन हुआ, मेरे को तो खाने को नहीं मिलता था, तो चलो गरीबों को खाना खिलाते हैं. तो उन्होंने सारी फैमिली को बोला चलो गरीबों को जाके खाना खिलाएं. फिर उसमें उन्हें इतनी संतुष्टि मिली, फिर उन्होंने लंगर ही शुरू कर दिया. एंड बाय द एंड ऑफ हिज लाइफ आई थिंक ही वाज फीडिंग 2000 पीपल एवरी डे. सो उनको सरकार ने बोला कि पद्म श्री दो. तो दिस इज़ द बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी. व्हेन दे केम टू गिव हिम द पद्म श्री, वो कहते मैं तो गलत बंदा, मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं किया. ही सेज यू गॉट द रॉन्ग मैन. ही सेज आपको पद्म श्री दे रहे हैं. कहते किसके लिए? कहते मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं. अब हम शादी करते 2000 लोगों को बहुत अच्छा खाना खिलाते हैं, हम कहते बहुत अच्छा फंक्शन किया हमने. हाँ, वो रोज़ 2000 लोगों को खिला रहा है, वो कह रहा है मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं किया. तो दिस काइंड ऑफ कर्मा इज़ लिबरेटिंग, इट इज़ नॉट बाइंडिंग. दिस विल फ्री हिम, नॉट मे बी, आई डोंट नो दैट गॉड नोज टू वॉट लेवल, but when we do actions with God, for God, in God, those actions free us. When we do from ego, जैसे नवीन जी ने बोला, अगर हम यहाँ से करेंगे, ईगो से करेंगे, वो बाइंडिंग है. हम यहाँ से करेंगे, भगवान को लेके करेंगे, वही एक्शंस हमें फ्रीइंग है. तो लिबरेशन के लिए हमें चाहिए कि हमें भगवान को लेके चले. सी हिम एज द डूअर, एंड यू विल नॉट बिलीव व्हेन यू प्रैक्टिस दिस इन अ वेरी स्मॉल थिंग. Don't practice this in big things and see the success in small things. Leave it to God. And doesn't mean that you don't do your actions. हमने अपना काम करना है. Result, leave it to God. You will see not only will it be better, more will get done through you. You will be so relaxed because I am not attached to this result. It is a practice. Because इस practice से ego is going jobless. Ego doesn't like to be jobless. He doesn't like to be fired. He wants to be the boss. So बोलो you sit. For this one, you sit out, let God do the thing. And that is the attitude we need to have. Second thing for liberation is a guru is very necessary. Ego cannot liberate you. I can do everything, but if I do it from a sense of I, it is not possible. If the guru wants, he can free us in an instant. तो liberation, मोक्ष, ये गुरु की कृपा से होता है. तो आप जो भी पाथ फॉलो करोगे, जहाँ पे भी जाओगे, जो मुक्ति मिलनी है वो उनकी कृपा से मिलनी है. वो हम अपनी एफर्ट से नहीं ले सकते हैं मुक्ति, या सेवा से नहीं ले सकते. जो भी करें तो गुरु की ग्रेस बहुत ज़रूरी है. एक और, एंड द लॉ ऑफ लव इज़ द ओनली लॉ विच इज़ अबव द लॉ ऑफ कर्मा. लव ऑफ हू? लव ऑफ द गुरु. व्हेन द गुरु लव्स यू, ही कैन इंटरव्यूइंग. वो अपने पे कर्म ले सकते हैं. जो संत है, आप देखोगे बहुत संत एंड ऑफ द लाइफ वो परफेक्ट हेल्थ में नहीं जाते हैं. आप हमारे भी लाइन में देखो, स्वामी क्रियानंदा जी, इवन योगानंदा जी, एंड में लोग उनको उठा के चलते थे बिकॉज उनकी लातें कमज़ोर थी। हम ये नहीं कह सकते वो परफेक्ट नहीं थे इसीलिए उनको तो बीमारियां लग गई तो कैसे गुरु थे, ये बात नहीं है। वो अपने शिष्यों के कर्म अपने शरीर पे लेते थे क्योंकि कार्मिक लॉ कैन नॉट बी डिस्ट्रॉयड, इट कैन ओनली बी ट्रांसम्यूटेड। कोई अपने पे ले सकता है, प्यार से ले सकता है। तो ये जो ग्रेस है लिबरेशन की, ये गुरु की ही आ सकती है। उसके अलावा ईगो पे कैपेसिटी नहीं है हमें मुक्ति देने की। और ये भी अगर हम मांगेंगे, सोच के मांगे गुरु से, बेस्ट इज़ कि जो गुरु की दी हुई शिक्षा है, जो गुरु की दी हुई साधना है, वो हम सिंसियरली करें तो, और वो जब जिस दिन गुरु की कृपा होगी तो हमें मुक्ति भी मिल जाएगी। तो लास्ट आई विल कम टू द पॉइंट ऑफ क्रिया योगा जो हम सब प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। दिस इज़ द सॉल्यूशन, this is the way out of karma. I think the best selling point, like Devrishi said, it's the aeroplane route. But there is another line which says, ki one kriya done correctly, properly, takes about 30 seconds, burns karma of one lifetime. And I think once I did a rough maths, it's about 3 crore seconds. Something you can also go and do. एक साल में कितने seconds होते हैं? Approximately 3 crores, I think. Maybe my maths is not good, I may have missed a zero, but a lot. Down to 30 seconds. That is how spiritual practices work. साधना आपको सुबह से हम ये बता रहे हैं कि ये साधना के बिना, I would not say possible नहीं है, possible है, पर टाइम बहुत लग सकता है, बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लग सकता है। और अगर हम ये चीज़ें करेंगे, ये गुरुओं का प्रॉमिस है कि हम इस जीवन में मोक्ष पा सकते हैं, हम मुक्ति पा सकते हैं अगर हम सही आधारों पे चलेंगे, एक साधना लेके चलेंगे, गुरु को साथ लेके चलेंगे। तो ये चीज़ें दूर नहीं है और ये है नहीं कि ये तो संतों साधुओं का काम है। हम सब क्यों कर रहे हैं? हम सब गृहस्थ में रहते हैं जो यहाँ पे बैठे हैं, अपने काम करते हैं, बच्चे पालते हैं, पर साथ में अपनी साधना भी करते हैं, दिन रात भगवान को साथ लेके चलते हैं। और फिर जो भी हम काम करते हैं वो अगर हम सेवा भावना से करें, अगर हम बच्चे भी पाल रहे हैं, हम गुरु को बोले कि ये आपने दिए हैं हमें, हम आपकी सेवा में इनको पाल रहे हैं, तो फिर हमारा पूरा नज़रिया बदल जाता है। तो जैसे सुबह भी बोला कि क्रिया योगा एक टेक्निक भी है, एक जीवन जीने का तरीका भी है, और उससे बहुत आपकी अब मेरे बच्चे पूछते हैं मम्मा आपको क्या मिला? ऐसा मेरी तो ज़िंदगी सुलझ गई, मेरी सोच सुलझ गई, ज़िंदगी सुलझ गई। मेरे को ये समझ आ गया कि हम कहाँ से आए हैं, कहाँ जाना है, और इस ज़िंदगी को कैसे बिताना है, और ये जो सफ़र है ये कैसे ट्रैवल करना है। ये चीज़ें समझ आ जाती हैं। ये किसी कॉलेज में नहीं सिखाई जाती, किसी स्कूल में नहीं सिखाई जाती, ये गुरुओं के चरणों में ही मिलती है हमें। तो आई वुड रियली इनकरेज ऑल ऑफ यू, यू हैव कम सो क्लोज, सो इफ़ यू टेक द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, गिव इट अ ट्राई, सी इफ इट वर्क्स फॉर यू। वी आर नॉट मेकिंग एम्प्टी प्रोमिसेस। आप एक बार ही करके देखो, ट्राई करके देखो, एंड यू विल बी सरप्राइज्ड एट द रिजल्ट्स, you know, that is the promise. So thank you all for your attention, and I hope you take this step.
Death, destiny, liberation, लेकिन हम कोशिश करेंगे। तो let's see which one. I think I want to start with, someone asked a question here. What is this all about? What's the purpose? Is the purpose immortality? Is the purpose moksha? Is the purpose God? It gets a little confusing, hey na? Please just make it very simple. It's always good. I have a degree in engineering, and there's a saying in that. It's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Meaning, don't get too much in your mind and think about it. Just keep it simple. The purpose of life is to find God. Keep it that simple. And now, why does it go confusing all of a sudden is, well, what is God? And then it can get very, very confusing, because on one level, God is going to be different for each human being. And that so each one of us, we have to answer that question for ourselves. Adi Shankaracharya defined God as Sat Chit Anand, and ever living. This is Master's English interpretation, you could say, of Sat Chit Anand. Ever living, ever conscious, ever new joy. But I weave that into the conversation right now because we do not just want to be immortal. We do not want to be ever living. If we have ever living without ever new joy and without an infinite consciousness, that's an ever new hell. That we would just be living forever without perfect joy. They have to go together. And it's good for each one of us to try to understand what God is, who God is, but more than, again, the intellectual exercise is that we want to experience God's love, which can take us beyond all karma, all destiny, help us rise above that. We want to know that in our own hearts, in our own experience. It's not enough to just intellectually think about it. Today, death. Most people are afraid of death. If we practice enough meditation, that we will begin to understand, as Dharmendraji was saying, that we are a soul and we have a body, and that we will understand that this body, it is temporary, but that our soul is eternal. You could think of it like this, that there's a saying, it says, the captain always goes down with his ship. Well, if the boat is 100 feet from shore, does the captain really need to say, oh, okay, I'm going down with this thing? Or can the captain just swim to the shore and then go get a new boat and try again? And that's what this body is. It's just your boat, but your captain, you the captain of it, that you can get a new one and a new one and a new one. And in the beginning, I've heard of some people, reincarnation's true? You mean I get to try again? And in the beginning, okay, that's how it is. Yes, we all get to try again. But there's two words in Autobiography of a Yogi: anguishing monotony. After enough times of this trying again, we think it doesn't seem I get to try again. It seems I get forced to have to be in a body and try to play some game of physical desires and try to make it all happy. You know, if you take a deck of cards, 52 cards, and you shuffle them, and then you pass them out or whatever, it may be that if the aces are the good thing, you get all of the aces sometimes. But when you shuffle again, then you won't get all of the aces. That you never can change the number of cards in that deck. Another analogy is in the ocean that the waves may go up and you may have happy times, and the waves may go down and you may have sad times. But the overall level of the ocean, you can't change that. It never changes. And we want to try to get to that balanced place within ourselves to begin to see that even death, it's actually just a duality of the mind. That everything is first born in the mind, hot and cold, and we are all seeking balance. We don't like it if it's too hot. We don't like it if it's too cold. But the balance in between life and death, we're not quite sure about that one. But if we can go deep into meditation, we can find that everything has a center point from where we can see clearly and where we can understand. And we can see that life is eternal. And for those of us who have lost a loved one, maybe recently, that we think, oh, where is he or where is she? It's just like as if someone was to go behind that door into that other room. We can't see through the wall. We don't know. But the great ones, they can see through that wall. Very interestingly, Navinji was saying, this ether is the thing that separates. And that once we learn ether separates the astral world from this physical vibration. Everything is vibration. And once we learn to raise our level of energy up that high, that then we too, even though while living, we can know that there is an astral world, that the soul is immortal, and that our loved ones have just gone on the other side. Here's a very interesting and important thing to think about. That every desire that you have, every desire must be fulfilled. Matlab, if you want to see a loved one who has passed away, that desire has to be fulfilled. If your mother or father or whoever has left this body, left this physical world, his or her body, and you want to see them again, that has to be fulfilled. So you don't have to worry, oh, I'll never ever see them again. Of course you will. If you want to, you will. You end up getting everything that you want. Boy, we make God's life difficult because He has to sort it all out as to, okay, I can't give this at this time or this at this time and make my whole creation a mess. So He divides it up. He's made an illusion of time, and that He will fulfill your desires one by one. So that should give comfort that anything that you desire, if you want to see a loved one again, you will see them again. It might be when you go to the astral world again. It may be that that person will reincarnate in this physical world. Here's another interesting thing. If you have a child, obviously you're supposed to love your children, obviously, that's fine. But if that child died early, everyone would cry, oh, so bad. If that child was reborn in the house next door, would you recognize your own child? I think, yeah, thanks for the honesty. You wouldn't even. And so that makes us think, what is love exactly? Who is loving who? And once we begin to start to realize who we truly are, this true liberation is liberation from ego. Once we begin to realize that, then we can give and receive God's love. We can realize that it's God loving God. We can realize that if we love our earthly father, our earthly mother, that who we are actually loving in there is God in that form. And it's God who's been taking care of us throughout all time. That it's a wonderful attitude to have in life, to not be childish, and that means don't have control over your emotions and just throw fits if your desires aren't fulfilled, but to be childlike. To just realize that God is taking care of us, and that the more we turn our attention back to God, the more that God will be there and will help us understand everything. And the more we can begin to have this realization within our own selves that at the end of the day there is no death, that there are just veils through which at our current level of spiritual evolution we cannot see through, then we can begin to help others, the sad, miserable people who are crying, who believe that this is just it. It's that we have to help expand their consciousness and help them to see that life is eternal. And now, if life is eternal, and if all desires have to be fulfilled, do you think we should be careful about what we desire and use some discrimination? There was once a time when one of Master's disciples, Dr. Lewis, they were walking, and Dr. Lewis saw a beautiful, shiny, new car. And Master simply said, "Watch your desires, Doctor." And we all have a responsibility every day when we go throughout the day to, when desires come, and they will come as we interact with this physical world, do we take them deep into our heart? And do we, like a panting puppy dog, yes, I want that one, yes, yes. Oh, I'll be so happy once I get this or that. Or do we just think, oh, that's nice, but I'm comfortable within my own self, and that there's nothing outside that's going to make me happy. There was a comedian who was at a party one time, and the hostess came up and said, "Are you enjoying yourself?" And his wry humor, "It's the only thing that I'm enjoying." Making a joke that he wasn't really enjoying the party. But in that, we can take it not in the negative sense, but whatever we go and do, that we can make sure that we are always enjoying this higher part of ourselves. Another thing that I wish to touch on here, which Harpriya ji brought up, so many people ask the question, is my will free or is it not free? And where's this line? And she was talking about 25%. Okay, Master did say that we have to give our entire 25% to this thing. But you see, people are really asking the wrong question. And she gave the answer to whether your will is free or not free. If you're asking, is my will free? No. You're bound then. You're in ego, and ego is bound by desires, habits, karma. But if we are able to get rid of that and just ask in general and learn, how does this whole thing work? And is the will of mankind, is it free? if we can look at life not as an ego, but Swami Kriyananda would say, Swami Kriyananda is just an event that I am responsible for. So that's an interesting way to look at one's self. That it doesn't mean, okay, I won't function through ego anymore, so I'll just lie down and not do anything. That we have to do, we have to act in this world, but we have to realize that it is God who is acting through us. There's a story I've told very often, I'll tell it again. There was a man who, when he was young, maybe in his 20s or something, he received a horoscope from a Jyotish astrologer. And it said, you will definitely die, pakka, at age 45, or I don't know the exact details. And he was pretty nervous for a while. But then at some point he said, okay, chordo, just leave it. What, I have to live my life anyways, whether it's the next 20 years or whatever, I may as well just leave it. So he just locked that away, lived his life. And then he got in a terrible accident, car accident, around age 45 or whatever it was. Almost died, but then he didn't. And in the hospital, he started remembering, I wonder that astrologer, exactly what he wrote when he said I would die. And when he got better, he looked at it. It was the exact day of the car accident. And then he wondered, did the astrologer make a mistake? And so then he played a little trick. He went to a different astrologer, and he said, I have the horoscope of my friend, but it was actually his own horoscope. And he said, please, tell me about my friend. Is he doing okay? What's happening? So the astrologer said, come back tomorrow. Sure, I'll tell you. He came back, and the astrologer said, I'm sorry to tell you, but your friend, he's a dead man. For sure, he died on this particular day. And then that man said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but I've played a little trick on you, and that was actually my horoscope. And then the astrologer said, do you have a guru? And the man said, yes, Ananda Moy Ma. And the astrologer said, where Ma begins, astrology ends. That the power of a guru is bigger than the power of our karma. Just like if there's a man who's very wealthy and you've done a little wrong, you've got yourself some debt, and now you don't have the funds to get out of it, you can go to that rich man and you can say, okay, don't do it again. And then he pays off the debt for you. Guruji can take on your karma. He said that he would take people's karma. It's very famous, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, that he took the karma of his advanced disciples so that they could become advanced and spread his message all over the world. The guru can do that. The guru can also do other tricks with karma, much better than an astrologer. That he can see that you have a bit of bad karma. He can move it around for you. He can spread it out like a banker and say that, okay, we had, the EMI was 12 months every month. It's okay. I'll let you pay this. He can spread it very far. He can do all kinds of things. And it's the guru's job to come in and to move our karma around so that we can get a taste of his bliss, of his joy. And we get that taste and then we say, oh, yes, there is something here. But then the guru says, yes, there is. Now you go back to work again and you work for me and you help others realize what it is that you have tasted. And then the guru ultimately will give us nirvikalpa samadhi, the state from which we can never fall again, from which we will be free. And there's levels to freedom. I actually don't want to get into them right now. It's up to you to study and to realize and to understand. But the guru, it is the guru. It seems, even though it wasn't written on all of our lectures, that it's been the theme of the day, that we have to have a guru. And once someone asked Swami Kriyananda, do I have to have a guru? Swamiji said, no, it's okay. And what? Swamiji said, well, if you want liberation, yes, you have to have a guru. But if you just want to bumble through life, well, then it's okay. And people think, but now there's books. Why do I need a guru when I can just read particular teachings in a book? That a book cannot scold you when you are wrong. That it is the guru who can come into our lives and tell us when we are right. and we are wrong. And even higher. We just had to give a lecture the other day at a college, and the topic was responsibility. I have a little niece. I told her I have to give a lecture to college professors on responsibility. She's, oh my God, that's the scariest thing I could ever think of. But when we realize our oneness with God, we're not afraid of anything. There's nothing to fear anymore once we begin to realize that all is one. But anyways, we all have a responsibility, is the point here. We have a responsibility towards ourselves to understand what God is, to overcome karma, to get rid of our ego. Each of us will in some ways do it in our own way. And then we also have a responsibility to share what we learn. Once Swami Kriyananda wrote an email, and in this email he said to someone who was asking for advice that your life, I see 3 priorities. Priority number 1, find God. Priority number 2, whatever you learn along the way, share with others. And priority number 3, that help to build Ananda, the spiritual organization, so that other people can have a place to do number 1 and number 2. But our highest responsibility is for us to find God. Please take that seriously. Think about it deeply, because as she said, Maya wants to catch us, and it has so many different ways to it's designed to catch us. But I want us also, don't be afraid of that. It's okay. At the end of the day, yeah, there's God and there's Satan. But at the end of the day, are they balanced so perfectly? It's not. At the end of the day, we have to say that God made Satan, actually. And at the end of the day, we have to know that God is in charge. And know that God will never give you more than you can handle. It's God's job to kind of push the limit and see how much we can handle. But we don't have to live in fear. It is said that perfect love casts out all fear. Another way of thinking of this point that I'm making here is that if we turned off the lights in this room and if we pasted black paper on all the windows, it could become very, very dark in here. And maybe it could be like that for 10 years or something if, I don't know, the building was sold or whatever. But the moment we turn on that light switch, suddenly all of the darkness is gone. The moment we have true love in our heart, suddenly all fear is gone of absolutely everything. The moment we turn on this light switch of our God realization, that we realize we never even existed. This was just a dream. And now that shouldn't frighten you, because then the ego thinks, well, if I don't exist, then, well, I don't like this. Is it just going to be black darkness like the room I was talking about? By the way, Buddhism has gone a little bit off course, saying that the goal of life is nirvana. I am not saying that Buddha himself was off course, that he was an avatar, very much knew what he was talking about. It's that all religions, you give them enough time that they end up just getting off course. But again, the point of the spiritual path is not nirvana in the sense that there's just nothingness. Who wants to strive to become nothing? It's much more inspiring to strive to become everything. And here's the point of that as we strive to become everything, even when the ego, I really love the Hindi word pigle, even when it melts back into this ocean of bliss, even when the ego melts back, that you, as Gaurav or Amit or Vivek or whoever, that memory of you lasts for eternity. And in a state of God realization, that's not a small thing. Because Swami Kriyananda, he could see all of your past incarnations. And that you too will be able to see all of your past incarnations. You will be able to see everybody's past incarnations. But it will mean that God, as Gaurav or Amit or Vivek, even once he becomes liberated, that he still has that personality. And here's where it gets very fascinating. That all of you here, one day you will become gurus. One day people will pray to you, please give me liberation. And you will have to reincarnate. And when you do, it's not going to be that God just dreams up, like if we all decided that we want Jesus Christ to come back, or Krishna as Babaji is still in the body, but if we want whoever, Lahiri Mahashayaji, to come back, it's not like God just dreams up some random, oh, it kind of looks like Lahiri, let's just call him Lahiri, and the devotees won't know the difference. It's that actual soul comes back, reincarnates, has that same personality, has the same, all of the lessons that he learned to make him, comes back in that form. Very interestingly, that Swami Kriyananda, he, until the very end of his life, and he kind of forced people forced him to say it, that he was a guru, but he never referred to himself as a guru. He said, everyone wants to be a guru. Nobody says, I want to be a perfect disciple, that I want to be known as a perfect disciple. It's a very, very important point, because I may have just put it in your mind, one day you will become a guru, and you think, all right, this Shankara, finally somebody knows who I am, okay. Well, if it's that way, not going to work, that if it's, no, it's God through me, it's God through all of us, that as we gain the realization that it's God who's doing everything, only then, and the true gurus, they don't have ego. That once Swami Kriyananda said to Paramahansa Yogananda, sir, you are so humble. And he said something like, how can there be humility if there's no sense of ego? And it's a very interesting thing that once we fully don't have any ego, then it's not even that we're humble. It's just that that's all there is, that it's simply only God. So, number one, make God realization, make finding God the priority of your life. And then don't be afraid of death. Don't be afraid of anything in this world. As long as you have God, then don't think too much. You don't have to worry about it too much. Don't have analysis paralysis, is something that engineers also say, where we just have thought so much we can't do anything. Also on the open heart side, don't have such an open heart that your brains fall out. That have a balance between your heart and mind. But the more that you walk on the spiritual path, you'll have that umbrella, like the man, that architect who went to the astrologer. You will have the protection. By the way, that architect was an Indian man who helped the French architect to design Chandigarh. And if anyone can find out for me who this man was, I would very much be interested in learning that little bit of history. So don't fear anything. And then destiny, I would say, don't worry about it. That keep doing your best today and let the future take care of itself. And ultimately, we will get to a point where we realize that time itself is just a delusion, that it is born of the mind. These are very high things, but we can begin to realize that. And in that state, what does destiny matter? Once someone asked Paramahansa Yogananda, are you a reincarnation? Were you Jesus Christ? His answer was, what would it matter? It's very, very interesting. Because I look at it as, once you're infinite, once you realize that you were in Ram, that you were in Buddha, in Jesus Christ, once you realize your omnipresence even on other planets and every blade of grass throughout all time and throughout all space, you want to try to now confine and put me in this little box and say that I'm this one name in time and space, only that no, that we all are something so much bigger. So strive to remember your true greatness on the inside, and you won't have anything to fear anymore, and you will understand everything. Thank you so much.